Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining us today. Yeah, and giving us your precious time for joining us for the opening of Not an Extra. It's really a pleasure that you all are here, right? Because I know it's Wednesday, it's weekday, and it's working time, right? And you guys are here. That really means a lot. So as uh, as we are meeting online, right? So I hope this can feel more like a conversation rather than a formal event. So please feel free to keep your cameras on if you're comfortable, and if you have any doubts or queries, feel free to use either the chat or just jump in because it's a very small group, right? So I think it's easy for us to have that interaction going on, right? So before I start talking about the exhibition itself, right? I'll try to summarize this because a few days ago I was reading a quote from a feminist scholar called Bell Hook, right? And I believe that this that 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 the line which she said, the quote, perfectly resonates with this exhibition, not an extra, right? She says, to be in the margin is to be part of the whole, but outside the main body. I hope it makes sense. Okay. Yeah. And I believe this is something which, in very simple words, this just summarizes the whole thing, right? Because this exhibition begins from a similar place, right? That a consideration of what it means to exist within the structure, right? Yet not being fully acknowledged within it, right? Because how do I say, like not an extra started with a lot of conversations, a series of conversations and reflection, thinking about presence, visibility, and what means not to be positioned as an extra or as a secondary person, right? At its core, the exhibition invites us to reconsider the role of and narratives that are often overlooked, and to engage more closely with what it means to be seen, acknowledged, and be at the center, right? Please feel free to interrupt me if you feel like I'm going too fast or something which is not making sense. I'll be happy to elaborate that, right? So what particularly makes this project more interesting is that it's not just a theme, right? It's a it's how do I say, it's a way we approach this subject, right? Because we often how do I say, because within social structure, right, and artistic practice, there are roles and positions that are assumed to be normal, right? Like, okay, this is something which happens day to day, and we just make it normalized rather than questioning it, right? And what we are trying to do with this project is to gently disturb that assumption, right? And making a space where people can start thinking without having those assumptions, right? So, so Khalis, now I would like to take a moment to acknowledge this whole project, and most importantly, the collaboration which we had with Esther and Jose from Grapa, because they believed in this project. It was possible, right? And special more like apart from all of this, like first, most important, I to be honest, I should have thanked Portia first because she was the creator of these works, right? And having constant conversations around the theme and understanding what it means to be an extra,
Mm.
is what makes it like to the, how will I say, it's this is what makes it a very ground level rather than something very superficial and we just put it in the words, right? So without taking a lot of your time, right, I would like to introduce Laura, right? She's the brain behind the exhibition along with Shalu. So Laura, I would I would like you to come and please say a few words about the exhibition. And before you start, I have one thing to ask, that is, what was the starting point of this exhibition? So it will be great if you can just start from there and moving forward.
Yeah, thank you, Vikas, for inviting me and giving me the stage. So, good evening and good afternoon to everyone. I'm the intern and also the co-curator of this exhibition. And for answering Vikas' question, the starting point is really began with looking at Portia's entire work throughout her portfolio, which she shared with us. And like during that looking through, like something became really clear. Like many of her subjects were about people in daily life in India, and when we go in really deep behind those work, they are in we find the common saying that they are all in the constant movement. And then we realized that Portia herself is also living in this way. Like, it's actually come from like when we were having the conversation. Like, she has been moving between cities through her life, and then since this February, Portia and our team, like basically me, Vikas, and Shalu, like we were having like really deep conversation during this exhibition, and talking through her practice, her consent, and her stories that she really wants to tell um through those work. And we also spent months doing the research on immigration and displacement to trying to understand not just the image and the work Persia is creating, but also the real life behind them. And this exhibition is actually the result of those conversations and researches. Yeah. And before I tell you more about the exhibition, something I really want to ask, just to like maybe set up some conversation between us rather than me just talking along. So like when you walk around the cities, you might see workers carrying heavy load or cleaners on the street. Like, have you ever noticed them? And have you ever thought about where do they come from and where they might go at the end of the day? Just like little questions.
Anyone would like to go first, or should I? Or Portia, would you like to go first?
It's very evident for
Or
me because I have been wondering about it. And it's very
yeah,
evident on the words, I guess. So that had been the question that had been driving me. So, if I say, then it like, I mean, I can, but would anyone else like to share? Or otherwise, I'm there to share.
I was going to say, like, sometimes I do that, like, overthink, like, of the people, like, where they're going, or the movement, or even when they came from. Or sometimes it's just like giving a hi to someone they're walking by, or see, like, on the street and stuff like that. That makes a very, like, differences, like, keeps so back of humanity in a place like now everyone walks or moves so focused on the phone or not on the people. That is something I can't remember who told me this, but he said, like, the thing that he dislikes about cities is like no one looks you into your eyes, because if
true.
you look into someone's eyes in the city, that means problem. But small villages is more kind. You look into the other people's eyes to see them, to really see them. Like, for example, you will look at Portia's artwork to see really something else, like making connections. Maybe it's also just my idea.
No, that's not. That was the idea behind it. Most of the figures, not all, but many of them are directly looking at the viewer, making that eye contact that is absent, that I have also been noticing. And I come from a very small town where everybody almost, not everyone, but almost everyone knew everybody. It's a very small township. And even the laborers. So there are also India, it's a casteist society. It's a like there is class system, caste system, everything is there, but at least everyone had a home to go back to, and we knew who, not everybody, but there was an idea that no one is living on the street. Before I came to the city, I never saw anybody living on the street. So that was the idea, Jose. You're absolutely right, to make that continuous eye contact with the viewer and creating a connection that I have been noticing being missing in the cities. Yeah.
But also sometimes even in places like, I don't know, supermarkets or even department stores, like you might look some people who's working there, but for example, that is something that I always find out, like cleaners, like they are normally too, like you will talk with a vacuum, they are there, they're doing their work, they're cleaning for everyone else, but no one just seems like they're going to stop or even talk about them, which is something for me is crazy, but exists.
It is.
Yeah, I agree. Do you mind if it's yeah. I believe that there's this because people don't even appreciate the work they are doing, right? They don't appreciate how clean the place is because they spend so much time working, right? They don't appreciate that because someone woke up super early in the morning just to make sure the street you walk on is spotless,
Mm.
right? So I think yeah, it's a bigger piece which is missing from the puzzle. Like people don't really look at it or appreciate or understand it. And as Jose said, as Jose said, like people are looking in their screens rather than what's actually happening around them, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and also just to maybe like add on like what Jose just said about making eye contact. I think I don't know from when, like maybe it's only in China. I've been seeing on social media saying that if you are talking to someone, it's more polite to looking at their mouth, like the under half of their face, rather than looking directly on their eyes. It's something like they might think people looking directly to people's eye is kind of offensive or something like that. But it's actually so like because I read that sentence, I kind of like keep that in mind. So I was trying to avoid directly making eye contact, but it's actually feels really weird because I will actually missing some of their facials or there's something lost during the conversation that I'm actually trying to having with people. Yeah, you think that is also kind of the problem, like not seeing people to see them, like to really see through their eye. Yeah.
Mm.
So I will continue and thank you for really thank you for the conversation we're just having. It's like really interesting ones to mention about. So it's actually come from like the conversation. Like these people are everywhere. We see them performing labors and keep our world running, but do we really see them, their struggles, their stories, and their humanities? Like, do we really try to know them in person, kind of that way? So the gap between visible and the truly seen is what Portia is called the condition of being extra. I know like no one can speak better than the artist herself, but I would like to give a little intro about Portia, if you allow me to. Um,
Please.
yeah, thank you so much. From our conversation, she used to describe herself as a street dog on the street of India. She's not trying to change the whole world at once through her work. In fact, I think she said she don't really think her work directly can make any change. But I think what we can get from their like her art is actually it's like a dog barking on the middle of night. you can't ignore it. It will wake you up, and once you are awake, you will start noticing that you have been working parts through those things for years. Portia mainly working with woodcut and raw materials like recycled cardboard, which is the kind of use for packing and transport. It's not a choice she really want to work with, but and it's not her intent to do it in that way. It's because of coward mainly, but they are associating with the movement, with carrying things and transporting it from one place to another, and through them she tell the story of people on the edge of society, the people who are sustained our work but left out from our history or our like stories. So you might ask where the title "Not the Extra" come from. It's actually directly come from her series of the Extra series. Like in the films, extra are people is like are those people in the background. They are in the frame and important to the whole screen, to the whole image, but they are being never being focused in the stories. No one know their name. No one ask about their lives. And for Persia, it's described of a real condition of millions of people who are living now. They appear in the border narratives of our time. They are in the news report, in the statistic, and in the political debate, but rarely present as a central voice. They build our cities, grow our food, and clean our street, but they remain socially unknowledged, legally vulnerable, and historically unnamed. So this exhibition is trying to make a simple but challenging questions. What happens to a life that history treat as an extra? The work you will see in this exhibition will split is spent into two sides, like two worlds, but in fact they are not separated. In the series of extra, it addressed the international immigrations. Those refugees were forced to leave from their home by war and conflict. Their face were flashed uh, their face were flashed through the news broadcast before disappearing from public attentions. And the work like Food Tells a Southern Story and Home is Where I Prefer to Die focus on the uh, inter internal, like within the countries, the immigration in India during 2020, the lockdown time of COVID. Millions of immigrant workers suddenly lost their livelihood in the cities, and they were forced to walk hundreds of kilometers to back to their village where they had been left for years before. And some of them were sadly die on the way, on the rail track, on the roadside, on their way trying to get home. And they're on two different stories. They are like one same condition, but just make visible in different geographies. We often think of movement as like helpful, like not helpful. Sorry. Uh, we often think movement of hopeful, like going to a new cities, get a different job, and have a better future. Sometimes it is, but what Portia's work showing us is another realities. For many people, movement isn't a choice, and displacement isn't an end when you arrive somewhere new. It becomes to an extensive condition. It filled with uncertainties. Yes, and I will. That is like end of my beginning with the whole idea of the exhibition, and I would like to give back the stage to Vikas. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Thanks a lot. That's really insightful. And just to give you the context, I'm adding the link to the exhibition in the chat so that everyone can go and have a look at the works as well, right? It will give more context to what Laura has just talked about. So now I would like to invite Portia, whose works are the center stage of this whole project, right? So please, Portia, stage is all yours.
Yeah. Just to add in, I got the work in this exhibition as a PowerPoint, and if Portia need me to show anything that make people get to know more, I can show it on, like I can share my screen.
Right. I think that might make more sense because without images,
Yeah.
it is very difficult for us to visualize what is going on within my mind or what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Uh,
This this one is actually a very intimate, personal work of mine. This hasn't got anything to do with any external things. This is me and my daughter. We are sitting. We sat on a bird sanctuary in Uttarakhand long back, and as mothers do, I was braiding her hair, and there were a lot of birds. It was a beautiful evening, and the birds were coming back to their nests, and we were sitting there, and my husband clicked a picture, and later on I saw an image very similar to that evening, but it was a relief print done by one UK based artist. I'm forgetting her name. I'm so sorry about it. But that image kind of really inspired me a lot. I will share her name later on with you, Vikas. Maybe you can share it with others. And so I felt that I need to put us there because I have been there. I saw that image and I felt, oh, I have been inside this exact image that someone sitting in UK has created. And that's so awesome because I was in India. I was sitting in Uttarakhand and I've been there somehow. So yeah, I've just put myself and my daughter there inside that landscape here.
Actually,
Uh,
sorry to interrupt. Actually, for me, I really like this work, and I know it's nothing to do with like it seems nothing to do with the whole like topic, but like for me, it's just like really touching point. Like remind me of my home, and it's more like a starting point from like when we leave home, but we always remember like what happened during when we were really young. Like my mom was combing my hair. It's like share the have the like common memory of all people around.
this will become a reference point for my daughter when she leaves the house,
Yeah,
this will be something more for her.
yeah,
And this is a very, I don't want to, like, told Bijit, if it doesn't get sold, we will just place it in our bedroom and we'll keep it. So yeah, it's very close to my heart as well.
yes.
This, home is where I choose to die, or I prefer to die, or food tells a thousand stories. There was a during COVID, there was a 8 month long lockdown in India, and people were stranded. The migrant workers from states like Bihar, from Madhya Pradesh, they travel to cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore. And during COVID, what happened? All the factories, those were shut down, and they didn't. They were not getting their wages. There was no provision for income left for them, and also they were not allowed to go back home because the conveyance, like, trains were not working, like, flights they cannot even afford. So basically everything came to a halt, and we didn't really think what will happen to these people who live day by day, like, it's like hand to mouth for them. So they ran out of money, and also there was this fear of dying because people were dying. Lots and lots of people died during COVID. So where will you die? Will you die with in a room where you are living with 8 other people whom you do not know? You are just connected to them because you work with them, or because you work in different places and you can like afford a room that you have rented with them, or you would rather die with your family. So there was a choice that you had to make then. And this what happened this home is where I prefer to die. This was like, there was a group of people who were walking from Mumbai to Madhya Pradesh, and while they were walking, they had food on the railway tracks, and the trains were not operating. So they felt that it was safe to have food, and they were very tired and they fell asleep on the railway tracks. But the goods train were working, so they were run over. While they were asleep, they were run over by the train. So, and those red marks that you can see on the body, those were like kind of a reminder of those tracks, the railway tracks, where they kind of three of them survived, rest died. So these two were created during that time. And I also lost, my father-in-law died in the first wave of COVID. And we could not cremate him or anything. His body was wrapped in a plastic bag. So when things become personal, when you face it personally, you feel it, I think, better. And I think that's what happened. So this is, and this one, there was a photographer who just clicked a tone up, like, slipper, those slippers that those workers were wearing, and those slipper had blood on it, and there was nothing else, but those, the picture of that slipper could tell everything. It was telling a full story. So I was inspired by that photograph for this one, because if the slipper can tell us so much, then I think, yeah, this feet can also tell the stories of the roads it has traveled and what it has faced. So yeah, these two were created during the COVID time.
Yeah, thank you for sharing it.
This is a very, one thing that I feel that when we say that people living in the margin or people who are invisible, I have kind of been, I feel that it is kind of connected to women, because the work that women do, the work that I also do inside the house, it is huge. It's not small. I spend around 4 or 5 hours minimum a day taking care of the house, cooking for everybody, taking, like, raising a child, all those things. And all this labor is very invisible. So this invisibility is something that has been a part of the life of women for long. And this invisibility is something that we also see with people who are living on the margins of the society, as Vikas very rightly said, whose labor we fail to acknowledge. We cannot live without it, but we fail to acknowledge it. So she resists. There is a tribal song, Gao Chorab Nahi, Jungle Chorab Nahi, which means that I will not let go of my land, I'll not let go of my mother, I will not stop resisting. So this song kind of became an symbol, and that symbol became a woman who is kind of, like, resisting the deforestation of her land, urbanization of her land. She's protecting it, she's resisting it with all her body. And I feel everything with my body. I'm a very, like, every sensation, everything that is, every news you tell me, na, I feel it with my body. I don't know how I can explain it. I cannot. But for me, the human body is very, very important, because it kind of, the sensation is always going on within me. So yeah, this is how she raises. And if I have to put myself in within a, if I have to, if you, let's say, if I ever get a tattoo, which I will not, but if I ever get a tattoo, I will just do this, because this represents me.
Yeah, and also I think when we looking through the news about immigration, like what we always think is like a female figure or like a female figure with their children. It's always like that kind of image is most attaching us during those
Yeah.
news. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, really. So like that is one of the reason choosing this, because like the way she is trying to push out is like she's like reject of not being seen. Like she's
There's
really
a funny story also, Laura.
yeah.
This is also happening. I'm also an educator. So that was the time when I was teaching foreshortening to my children. So foreshortening is when you show something that is coming out of the surface. How do you show that? So that there is a technique for it.
Yeah.
And we teach children how to create an image where something is kind of coming out, popping out of it. So this also works. What you are doing in, like, what I am teaching my children or like doing with my children, like, my students, is something that always affects the image. So the concept is there, but the image making is another process. That's a technical process as well. Very much technique is always involved in that, and the technique is it is something that is built on your expertise, your exposure, and what you are your experiences basically. So yeah, I was just wanted to share, because if I was not doing that, this popping out maybe would not happen.
Yeah.
But it happened because I was teaching that to my children that time.
Yeah, it's like always come from life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we will go to the extra series from now. I think this is a image, like a news image we all know, because it's like really famous one.
The Alan Kurdi one. This was the time when I was getting back to work after a 4-year gap. In 2012, I had my daughter, and we live in a nuclear family setup. And my husband was doing, he had this night shifts. So he used to work throughout the night and sleep throughout the day. So it was just me most of the time, 99% of the time, who was responsible of raising that child. So I was not doing any I was just doodling and sketching. That's something that you can do, not anything else. But in 2016 I got back to work, and I was struggling. Initially I was struggling anything, because I was just thinking that I didn't have enough space, and my child was very small, so I didn't want to work with those printmaking material which were toxic and not safe. Those tools were not safe. But I tried this, that, nothing spoke to me. So after 6 months, I realized that I have to get back to woodcut, because that's the language that speaks to me. And that was the time of the Syrian refugee crisis, if you all remember. And this is, of course, Alan Kurdi, whose body was washed up to the shore, and it became an iconic image of what migration actually looks like. So the image of migration, which were like, very much, some before that it was symbolized by a suitcase or a plane flying or birds moving. Then we also kind of realized with this image that migration also means dead children on the shore. So yeah, the extra series started with him, and I was a mother, and my child was almost that age. That time she was 4-year old, and it was just something that I could not bear. That image was too much, and it had to come out physically on a wooden surface where I could engrave and take my angst out. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of other artists making the artwork based on this news image, but most of them are like, really grayly kind of colorway to try to show what the like in the same color tone as the newspaper was. But like in your creation, it's more like a bright colors, and it's like really like shocking way, like using really bright color to describe this really sad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that Indian background of me, there is color around me, So where you are growing up, and you in India, you will get to see dead body within brilliant colored surroundings, because our streets are full of colors. Everything is full of color. And also that time I was there, again, technicalities will always come. That time I was doing woodcut prints. I was not just doing engraving. And with woodcut prints, I had limited color team, those ink. Basically, I didn't have many colors. I had maybe 5-6 of different colors, and I had to work with that. We were going through severe financial crisis that time, because I was not working, and single income was not enough to basically support the family, especially with the child. And all those factors, they contribute to an image that an artist is making. So that's why, if we don't know the life of the artist, it becomes very difficult to understand a work. Because it's not only about the concept or the ideas, it's more about the practicalities, living conditions, the condition of the artist that she or he is living through.
Yeah, and also I know it might not necessarily connect with Indian, but I seen the like a blog on social media. It's about the funeral in Nepal. They will like they make the funeral more like a celebration. They will sing through the funeral and people are celebrating and like uh not only their families but also like tourism will also come to the funeral to maybe for them it's a like a more like a tourism, but like it's more like everyone can join into the funeral to kind of celebrating these people's death. So I think it is that like a little bit connection with the like why you are kind of choosing this color tone and way of practice.
It's there in southern part of India. When I went to Tamil Nadu, I saw big posters of people who have died.
Yeah.
And for initially we didn't understand what's going on. So basically, those were the posters celebrating their life, and then there will be the procession. Exactly what you said, Laura,
Yeah.
where people will dance and people will sing, and it's like for them the body, the materialistic body that was there, that was caging the soul. Finally, the soul is free from it, and it is going to meet, it's free finally, and it's
Yeah.
a celebration. So when I went to Tamil Nadu, I got to know that this happens there, and
Yeah.
band and those people come. There is a procession with music and dance and everything to celebrate the person. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the sharing.
Well, that was the time when there was severe unrest going on in Kashmir as well. And I don't know if you guys can show it here in India, because then I might be in problem and you might be in problem, because nobody speaks about Kashmir. So the most heavily militarized zone in this world. Now, pellet gun injuries is a common thing there, and young children, young boys, like what we see in Gaza today, like what we have seen in Gaza. So 17-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, they pelted stone, and they pellet guns were they were doing they like. So these were also images that I came across. So that was another a time when I was heavily dependent on secondary resources. Because I had a child, I could not go out much. I was heavily dependent on secondary resources, and I was always looking for banned newspapers. One day, my husband said, "You will get us into trouble. Come on, stop doing it." So I was looking for newspapers that are not that are not available. So these were the images which I came across during that time, and these were the things that showing my back to you. This is like the back is exposed to the viewer for you to see that what is happening behind the clothes that I am keeping my body covered with. So yeah, it's like showing the back to the society and asking it to actually look. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to talk about? Because I'm not really familiar with the politics within India. I'm so sorry about that.
But okay, as Portia said, that's actually very true that you cannot talk freely about the things which are happening in Kashmir, right? And I don't know, seeing this work itself makes me feel like I'm in this hospital like setting. Although there's a green, there's a bright red, but it all leads to subtle sadness, which is there, and you cannot even ignore it, right? Like you can see, okay, there's this color leads towards the body, right? But at the same time, something is dripping out, right? And how it's blending in with the black color, like it's just this part, and rest is just not even for you to see. Yeah, so that's what I feel looking at this work. That's what I felt. So Yeah, I think these are all the works we showcase in this exhibit, right?
We
Uh,
still have two more.
oh, yeah, please go on.
Again, Kashmir, she wanted to be a doctor. I think she was 17 or 18-year-old and she was blinded by the pellet gun injuries. I and all all this news I was just sharing with Vikas that these were happening 10 years back. These works were created 10 years back. So I do not it, it's very difficult to remember all the feelings that I was going through that time. But yeah, I remember that this the another girl, and I am very drawn to mothers and young children and young adults because I teach them. I have one at my home. I'm very drawn to animals because you uh, I think it is what you feel. Again, this I can feel with my body, and I am tensed about my daughter, so I am tensed about my dog, I am tensed about my own safety. So I know how these vulnerabilities work, and I identify with it when I see it in others, of like people of that age or that gender. So yeah, I think in most of my works you will see young children, animals, and the women. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also with the other series like to Love to Chennai, like we see a lot of young female figures on the street. This is the
This was
last piece.
the first term of Trump. And now we are looking at it when Trump has a second term in the US. So it's like the trumpet blows and kills people. So it was that. It was basically a satirical commentary on US government during Trump's first tenure. And it's good to see it in Trump's second tenure. Who knew he would come back? And now
Yeah.
he's back. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course, like there is a subtle hint that the person within that red blob is a Muslim because he's wearing that cap. And the in India, I don't know about outside of India. I think outside of India also, in any religious events, Muslims they wear this white kurta and pajama, white clothes. So that's something that has been shown here, and yeah, so it was a satirical imagery, a little comic, and that is something that I owe to my background in printmaking, where we graphic images comes to us, sometimes. So yes, it was about that.
Yeah. Think like no one knows what will happen in the world. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's all the exhibition work we are showcasing in these exhibitions. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Portia. Just to move forward in terms of how you said that you made these works long time back, but they are
Mm.
still so much relevant in terms of what's happening in the current world, right? So this means art has power to actually see what will come in or how things will move forward, right? And it can actually change the perception, right? S-
I feel unfortunately, very unfortunately, all these works are still so relevant. I wish they stop being relevant, but unfortunately, I know they will not stop being relevant. So yeah.
True. That's the beauty of art. It will always be relevant in some point or other, right?
Hmm.
So, okay, so we are having a time crunch here. So, thank you, Portia. Thank you for this insightful conversation. Before we move forward towards the closing, I would like to invite everyone. If you guys have any questions or any reflections, just please feel free to jump in. Feel free to ask, or if not, I have one or two questions prepared just so we can start something. It's always my favorite part in terms of this is what leads to conversation, right? So I have one question. I have one question, first question for everyone, to be honest. So because we are such a small group, right, sitting here, so it's very interesting if everyone will share their opinions, right? So How do you guys personally interpret the idea of not an extra? Anyone? No?
Well, I'm going to break the ice. I would say the one thing that I've been making attention when I'm seeing your artwork, it was actually the point of view of the artist. Because, for example, on the first one, which you told, it was your daughter and you in that I see. I thought like I was, like watching someone else like memory. On the
Mm.
point of view where you're making it, you can even put yourself there. But I was like, oh, you feel like you're facing, you're looking into something that normally is in the extra or is more private. For example, extra number four, it's like with the bed, it's like so if you manage to be inside that bedroom, you see that poor person in the bed, like crying. It was like making yourself in the margins, but also looking at them, like making more present. It was something that actually caught my attention a lot. It was very good, well done.
Yeah, think that's a very insightful thing you said, Rosie, because this is same thing I feel. Looking at all the works Portia does, it doesn't feel like you are outside the frame and looking at the work. It feels like you are just sitting in the frame and things are happening in front of you. And you cannot deny the fact or just move your head away, right? It's there.
Yay! That's the aim, and if I'm achieving it, I'm so happy about it.
Yeah, but you achieved it, right? So that's a good thing. Yeah, anyone else would like to share their interpretation or reflection on not an extra?
Um, I'm James, everyone. Nice to meet you guys. I'm quite new here, and as we guys know, I'm actually quite new for this industry, and for me, in my perspective, when I know everything about that, you say, I really understand more about your story. So I think that the thing that even also reflect my daily life as well is can help people like me that might not know about art that much to understand it more easily. So I think it's really good that one. Yeah.
It's all about stories. So when we know the stories, stories are human. Stories connect us. So I think it becomes easier for us to connect
Yeah.
and relate to artworks when we know the story. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
True. And okay, that's actually very true, right? Story has the power to actually move people. That's why a lot of things we learned in our childhood were majorly through some or other, through like some way or other. It was there was always a story.
Yeah.
Its words are not coming out, but some way or other there was always a story which
Yeah.
makes sure that you'll remember things, right? I have a question for Portia. So do you see your practice here as more personal or more political, or somewhere in between?
Personal is political. Personal is never a political. Everything personal is very much political. So as I was saying, that the vulnerabilities that I observe, Vikas knows that right now, like that time, I was mostly depending on secondary resources. Now I have my daughter is now 13, and she very much likes me to be out of the house. So there is a change there. So right now I can easily go out, so I'm going, I'm visiting the colonies, I'm talking to them, not imposing myself on them. So I'm a Bengali, and most of the migrant workers here are Bengalis. So I have built that connection. So the connection was built through language. And the society, housing society that I'm living in, they have lots of workers coming in every day, and most of them are Bengalis. So I'm kind of talking to them, visiting their houses, looking at their living conditions and listening to their stories. And they have also come from Bengal to Noida to earn money to support the family, but just like me. But the difference in the living condition is so huge that you understand your position in the society, and you become politically aware about your privileges, and also you become aware about your vulnerabilities and how these are also connected to their vulnerabilities. So, as a woman, I'm very vulnerable about my body, the safety of my body. Extremely vulnerable. I feel tensed about it all the time, especially when I'm in northern part of India. It's not safe. So that fear, so I feel that my mere existence, the existence of my body can cause harm, can cause danger for me. And I have seen that in them, the as Vikas, you were talking about the cleaners, and Jose was also talking about them. The body language is different for them. Stooped
True.
shoulder, never making eye contact, being agreeable, trying to be agreeable in everything, just to do the work and stay away from the eyes of people who are in a higher class and caste position than them. So so I feel they also feel this, just their presence, the presence of their body in a space can cause danger for them. And I am in a much more privileged position. But even then, when I go out, not inside my house, but when I go out, I feel unsafe because I have this body. And that is a vulnerability that I am connecting with a lot more with age. Because now I'm more tense. I'm tense from, as I was saying, tense for my daughter, tense for myself, tense for my dog. So, yeah, especially in the public space. So, I can relate to it more. So, because as to answer your question, I am more and more becoming politically aware of my personal existence and how I am connected to the world and how the world is connected to me, and how I'm not just an observer, but I am a my existence, my experience is kind of building my identity. So yeah, if I don't know if it's making sense, but
It does.
that's
It
how it
totally
works.
does. It totally does. And to be honest, it's way more insightful than I thought, right? Because the way you presented the current scenario of North India, right? And the way you showcased how the caste, because as you mentioned in the beginning, we live in a caste-based society in India, right? How you mentioned that status different in such a subtle way, like it's there, but at the same time, it's not there, right? Only a sharp eye can observe. Otherwise, okay, my house help came in and did the work and went away. They won't realize she's agreeing to everything, or he's agreeing to everything, or they have opinion which they don't want to share, right? Although they can share, but they don't want to share, just to make sure that they are in a space where nothing can harm them.
Yeah. Here I differ a little because I am not a sharp observer. I don't know how people are not observing because it is so evident. It is so on the face. It is there.
True.
As Jose said, that it is like it's absurd, and it is there. And how we are blinded by our caste and class privilege that we are not even being able to acknowledge this, and we have normalized it, and we have played a part in it in some way or the other. So that's really
True.
yeah.
True. True. Any Sorry, I just muted myself while speaking. Anyone else have any question? Jose, Tanwat, Laura.
Actually, when you're talking about when they have to serve, like being small, don't look the eyes, that reminds me, there is this very famous quote in a book in Spanish, which it was a mother talking to her daughter who was going to start working as a maid in a house. It was like, hear, see, and remain silent. Like, do not even dare to talk with your masters, because that will mean like they will notice you. And the thing is like, when you're working in service, when you're doing this kind of invisibility work, which is one of the works that you have put, like the work of the woman, is like, oh, it's over. Understand, like it is your duty to do, like clean your house, take care of your baby, put food on the plate, but that is not even considered a job. It was very like reminds it even on the physical way, like how women supposed to be acting in these kind of societies. And I really think like in the paint in the I can't remember the name of the artwork, but it was the one with the circle. I really like that you choose the red because it's also like a point of like look at this. this is like the target. You have to make attention. She's working, she's there. So it was like very well done on the selection of colors, which is something that always caught my attention when I'm talking with artists. Because like to me, if I have to choose colors for choosing for a painting, that would be my hell. Like I would not have no idea how to do it. So again, it's very interesting finding this artwork and especially like this curation in a point of giving back and make us people from other countries, other parts of the country or even world to pay attention to everything that surrounds us. It's very powerful in a that way.
Thank you so much, Jose.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jose. And I also agree with Jose that color selection is actually very good when, as I said, like her colors draws you in, right? And before I'll say we'll have a lot deeper discussion about this thing when we'll have our session of artist meetup and curatorial walkthrough, right? So I would like everyone to join, right? And I think as we are moving towards the end of this session, so if anyone has any other question, please feel free to ask. Not, if not, then I'll move towards the end. Okay. So thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here and for engaging and having such a fruitful conversation or mindful conversation, I'd say, right? Because not an extra hasn't stopped here, right? It's just the beginning of a big conversation where we will be, how will I say? Oh, thank you, Laura. So it's not the end, right? It's the beginning of a conversation where these kind of topics needs to be talked about, right? We need to talk about the things which we generally don't talk about, and artists like Portia, who actually take art to a level where those conversations happens, right? So okay, so don't how will I say, don't forget to visit our website, because we have all the works along with the explanation and a detailed description about the exhibition on our website. And I would like to thank you all our collaborators, Grapa and artist Portia and our curator Laura and Shalu, for having such amazing yes, that's why I was getting confused. Okay, sorry, my bad. So having such amazing session today, because we always want to grow, right? We have created a feedback form so that you can give your valuable feedbacks, and we'll make sure to implement those things and make sure that next time when you'll join us for any event, we'll have those things already done, because you learn as you walk, right? Otherwise, you'll just be there. I hope this ending makes sense. Yeah, so, and as I said earlier, a lot more exciting events are coming up to make this conversation more engaging and deep. So we have our artist meetup, curatorial walkthrough, Instagram live session during the run of this exhibition. This means from today onwards till 15th of May 2026, we'll be having 3 or 4 more events happening. And make sure to RSVP your presence by visiting our website, or if you haven't joined our newsletters, subscribe to our newsletters. You'll get links there. And I just hope this is the beginning of a very big and longer engagement where we'll explore these ideas again. Looking forward to having a continued conversation with everyone again. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining us, and have a restful week ahead. Enjoy, and I'll see you everyone soon.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Vikas.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kanwat. Thank you, Portia. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, myself. And I'll see you soon. Enjoy. Bye.